Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Hearts of Iron 4, the New Order, Last Days of Europe, with me, Papa Mega, and the Empire of Japan. So after the two introductory episodes, today we are actually going to unpause the game. But before we do that, a couple of notes. First of all, I read through your comments in the morning, though I didn't have time yet to reply, and I wanted to say it again. This is a blind playthrough, guys. You keep asking me what path will I choose, if I'm gonna go this way and that way, what are my opinions. I have no idea. I really, literally have no idea. I didn't read anything because I enjoy the story and I enjoy unveiling it here. So if you know and want to advise me, I'll be happy to hear you out, but please, no spoilers, so please advise me in a way that will not spoil anything for me. And second of all, do not ask me, or you can ask me whatever you want, but do not expect valid opinions from me because we haven't even started yet. Now, if you want to ask me about what my opinions about Japan are, I tried to speak a bit about it. I already know that we're gonna have to do something with Zaibatsus. The game is strongly hinting on that, and I know that we're gonna have to work hard to keep the co-prosperity sphere together. Again, I remember from when we were playing Germany, that was the most news we got about China independence, rise, some sort of uprisings and so on, but I don't know what's gonna happen, and we'll have to see it for ourselves. So this is not me being a douchebag. I'm just literally trying to be honest here. I avoid reading anything about it. I try to play it because, I mean, the biggest fun of this one is the story for me. So why read on it and spoil it for myself? So I'll see. Second and third thing, I've actually worked through the army and the navy. We have the organization done for the army. We have the Imperial Army, which consists of two armies, the First and Second Imperial Army. The First Imperial Army is located in the Home Islands. The Second Imperial Army is located in Korea and in Uraijio, which is the old Vladivostok, if I'm not mistaken. Some cities are born naturally, rising from fertile plains on great rivers, or naturally defensive points and built up from centuries. If so, Vladivostok was born by C-section, carved out of Manchuria by the Aigun Treaty to serve as the linchpin of Russia's military treaty and the naval might in the far... by the Aigun Treaty to serve as the linchpin of Russia's military and naval might in the Far East. It is thus bitterly fitting that she now finds herself returned in some way to all three of her mothers, granted in theory to an ostensibly Chinese authority, returned at some future date to a feasibly Manchu monarch, but ruled for now by a definitely Japanese presence. Uraijio is still primarily dominated by Russians, including both the old stock and the hundreds of refugees fleeing the anarchy. Despite the neon signs laden with Chinese characters fixed hurriedly on the cracked marble buildings and churches, the city is still recognizable, offering some facsimile of a home long lost. Yet, despite this, change has come. Where the Russians avoid the dogs, the Chinese have arrived in numbers, and straddled between them the Koreans, trapped as the middleman between Japan's empire and herself. Here is a city trapped by her past, being impossible to truly integrate into either Japan or Manchuria. With every passing year, however, she drifts further away from the Russian consciousness too. Perhaps, with time, she will become an entity all to herself, a monument to all those that ever called the Far East home. Actually, I always wanted to visit Vladivostok. It seems like a city... I mean, it's dirty and ugly, and there's nothing there, quite honestly, but I'd still like to see it because it's so far from, the European part of Russia and my own home, which is not in Russia, but, just always seemed like a interesting city to visit. Anyway, so we have the First and Second Imperial Army. The Second Imperial Army is stationed in Vladivostok and Korea. Then we have the Second Imperial Army, Actually, you know what? We should rename this, because this would be Imperial Army Group, and this would be Second Imperial Army Group, just to not muddle the nomenclature. So the Second Imperial Army Group consists of 3rd and 4th Imperial Army. The 3rd Imperial Army is located in the southern parts of China and on the coast, and the 4th Imperial Army is located in the northern parts of China and in the Jinshan Administrative Office. And then we have the 3rd Garrison Army Group. Okay, let's rename it as well. Which consists of Northern Garrison, which is this one lone unit located in Kangtae. I'm not actually sure why it's there, but okay, I'm not gonna fight the game on it. The Saigon Garrison, which is located, as you might have guessed, in Saigon. And actually there is a reading here as well. The urbanization process continued even after France left Indochina, as Japan tried to turn the city into a shining example of Pan-Asianism. However, Saigon is still a city full of contradictions. Its slums are home to prostitutes, drug addicts, beggars and orphans, while in the old city center, with its grand French colonial buildings and rational boulevards, corrupt officials and Japanese with money make deals. There is much work to be done before Saigon can become a functioning modern city. And the last army, or last garrison army, is the South China Sea Garrison, which is located over here in Hanoi and in Kaiko. Do we have any? Yep, we have a description of Hanoi as well. Movement, and from its countryside... Wait, what? Oh, okay. So this is all messed up. Hanoi looks like an Indo-Chinese city, rapid urbanization fueled by industrialization, hastily built slums alongside lavish recreational buildings, an economy dominated by the zaibatsu. However, few realize that Hanoi is one of the biggest powder kegs in all Eastern Asia. During the Japanese invasion of French Indochina, Hanoi became the birthplace of the Viet Minh movement, and from its countryside they started an insurgency that lasted years and saw the city almost conquered from Japanese forces. Today, Hanoi keeps a facade of peacefulness, while its streets are patrolled day and night by the IJA, and the Viet Minh prepare for their final struggle behind closed doors. Oh, okay, so... Cool, Viet Minh is here, so that's probably gonna happen. And one day Hanoi will let the world know who is actually in charge of Vietnam. Okay, interesting. So that's the army. As far as the navy goes, I didn't even try to make sense of it. We have so many ships. When you look at our intelligence ledger, you get a pretty good idea. It's actually better than I thought. We have 340 ships, which goes well in line with what we left in Black Ice campaign. We have 6 battleships, all of them of Yamato class, but 5 of them are original and 1 is a 1962 refit, so we're probably going to try to refit the 5 others as well. We have... 6 Seryu-class carriers and 6 Seryu-class nuclear refits. We have 89 Ikuno-class corvettes and 3 Shisaka-class corvettes. We have 63 cruisers, all of the Tsukuba-class. I really like that they, started to be a bit uniform. It's gonna make my life much easier. We have 2 Kamikaze-class and 71 Soyukaze-class destroyers. It's kind of interesting that we still have 2 of the Kamikaze-class ones. Probably, I think these are from like 1920s. I'm not kidding. It's a very old ship at this point. Soyukaze is not a real ship as far as I know. So 71 of them, nice. We have 6 Yanagi-class frigates and 53 Kiri-class. And we have 35 submarines. 17 of I-600 and 18 of I-650 class. So what I want to do here is actually I want to take all of my ships and just... they are all over the place. We have, some in Midway, some in Saipan, some in Rain, some in Hainan. Chishima Station, Sucheto Response Division, Taiwan Patrol for tomorrow, and submarine fleets. Yeah, I still think what we're gonna do here is we're just gonna put them all together, unite them all in Tokyo, and then try to carve out something, you know, that would make sense. Because at this point, the river doesn't, as far as my strategy goes. So we'll just have, you know, let's just send them all home and deal with them over here. Wait, that's not Tokyo. No. I want you in here, in Kanagawa port. So you are all going to go here, and we'll just decide what to do with you afterwards. Okay, I need to stop clicking that. That's a little bit annoying, I guess. Oh, and by the way, with that said, we can actually unpause the game now and let it run. Lovely. Oh, I need to stop doing that last click that keeps taking me away from Tokyo. And we'll probably have a couple of fleets. I envision 4 or 5. 2 major ones, and then a couple smaller response fleets that will deal with the situation we have, or will have coming. And submarines are going to be a bit more dispersed probably, because they're part of our nuclear triad. So we'll have to see what we do with them. Okay, they're all coming. Okay, so that covers the fleet. And it's 2nd of January now, so let me just double check our economy, because I would like to see if everything is going as... Okay, no major recalculation here. So real GDP growth is going the right way to go. That's fine. Cool. I haven't talked about the production yet. I've set that one up as well. I didn't really put much in there. What I did actually was strengthen some of the production lines with heavy focus on support equipment, because we need big stockpiles of that. I've put in some more factories on tanks, but what I did was I have heavily started investing in our Air Force, because we don't have any, and you can see that we're actually missing quite a lot, which is what I expected. I also started a production of jet transport planes, because we really don't use those at all in my other playthroughs, and I found at this point, with such a vast empire, keeping up a strong fleet or Air Force or air wings of transport planes might benefit us in the long run if we need to supply our units in difficult terrain. So here's our very first event from the New Order. In a Nixon negotiation, the scene is a nondescript office in the Kantei. It is 4 in the morning and everyone is asleep except for Prime Minister Ino Hiroya and Japanese Provisional Ambassador to the United States, Tanzan Ishibashi. The two men have been in the office for 72 hours as of present, following the emergency radar contacts detected off Hawaii 3 days ago. Families all across Japan and the United States are glued to their seats. Those who aren't are already in their nuclear bunkers and hideouts. It was deemed so until the telephone rang. It could only mean one thing. The first ring echoes, then the second. In the silence, the heartbeats of both men are clearly audible. The third, follow the protocol, Ishibashi, follow the protocol. The fourth, Ishibashi picks up the phone. Hello, Ambassador. It's President Richard Nixon on the line. We need to talk. At present, I keep mispronouncing that, I apologize. At present, two carrier groups are staring each other down 40 kilometers east of Oahu. One wrong move, one provoked reaction, and it's the end of the world. Deep beneath the waves are nuclear submarines, the pinnacle of nuclear technology, able to end the entirety of Osaka or San Francisco in a single salvo. It's darkly humorous how the fate of the world hangs in the balance through the actions of two men, one of which is on the verge of collapsing after a 3-day run of unceasing work. In his stilted and very English, Tanzai Ishibashi said the words that would change the course of history forever. President Nixon, the Dai Nippon Teikoku is willing to negotiate its position, for the sake of our future and yours. We are spared for now. Okay, so we're starting on a very hot note. I guess the Hawaii crisis is a little bit more hot than I thought. I've seen it here somewhere. On the Cold War, was there? Hawaiian missile crisis ongoing. So that's. I thought it was just a remnant, but no, we're starting exactly with the Hawaiian missile crisis at full run. Ino's speech. The air was heavy with tension and the crackling static. Across Japan's vast urban sprawls, in Manchuria's great industrial centers, all the way to the agrarian villages in southern China, over 100 million radios and TVs crackled to life. In the offices of Guangdong, large screens and loudspeakers buzzed as the crystalline notes of Kimi Gayo washed over all of the co-prosperity sphere. A calm voice announced, in a dozen languages simultaneously, that a speech from His Excellency the Prime Minister of Japan would replace regular programming for the day. Those fortunate enough to have a screen in front of them watched as the last notes of the Imperial Anthem faded away and the red and white logo of the co-prosperity sphere was replaced by the Prime Minister's office. Ino Hiroya, arguably one of the most powerful men in the whole world, sat behind a large and uncluttered desk in his ordered and suitably magniloquent office. The Prime Minister had a most uncharacteristic expression of relief, mouth curved in a small, dignified smile. Over 1 billion people held their breath as he began speaking in the measured tone befitting his office. People of Japan, honored allies, citizens and subjects of our great Asian family, I come to you bearing news of a great victory, not the one we are all used to, one of marching soldiers and rolling tanks, but no less great, a victory of peace. The Prime Minister paused for a second. As of yesterday, an official agreement exists, binding the co-prosperity sphere and the Organization of Free Nations to the mutual respect of their marine boundaries and security interests. The specter of nuclear war that has hung over us all in the last few weeks is dispelled. Prime Minister kept talking, but few listened after that. Roars of jubilation, silent thanks, and the myriad sounds of 1 billion lives returning to their no more rhythm after weeks of panic and uncertainty drowned out the Prime Minister's eloquium. For a brief moment, all of East Asia truly came together in celebration, and America with them, as President Nixon made a speech mirroring his Japanese counterpart. Of course, not all were happy. Some had wished for a war, some had pushed for a war, and for some the notion of ascending Japan negotiating with the moribund United States rankled deeply. Doubtlessly, such feelings find an echo on the other side of the Pacific as well, but for now, peace has prevailed. Is this a true Tenno-san? Not sure what Tenno-san is. Okay, we have insufficient resources. I thought the trade would take it. What are we missing? Aluminum, tungsten. Don't we have an auto balance here? I think we don't have anyone to trade with, honestly. That might be the issue. Well, we'll see. Aluminum, tungsten. Import of oil 270. Okay, now it fixed itself. Okay, so I just had to force it to work on that. Okay, let me see what we're doing. Yeah, okay, we're missing a couple of factories here, but that's fine. That is fine. It's just one military factory. Okay, we're missing it for the improved transport helicopters, and it's probably a little bit affecting our construction as well. But the game was really always good in balancing everything out for us. So I think Across the Ocean was the first one. Across the ocean lies the great threat to Japan's sovereignty and the mastery of the Pacific, the United States of America. Humbled 17 years ago through our superior command of the oceans, the once indefatigable, fatigable, so this would be indefatigable. Wow, first time I ever heard this word in my life. Foe of the Pan-Asianism lies slain, and our mark on them. The treaty ports of San Francisco and Los Angeles are daily reminder of such. The Tokumusokans branch in the West Coast. I guess that's West Coast, Kikan, have inserted their proxies well into the confines of American society and have offered us an interesting insight into the attitudes of the Americans towards Japan. Richard Nixon's Republican Democratic coalition was an ideological and practical failure, but they still remained the voice of reason and moderation within American politics. Famously, Democratic President Dwight D. Eisenhower broached the peace on the Pacific by illegitimately allowing Hawaii's accession to the Union several years ago, as well as tearing up the Treaty of San Francisco. Though W. Kikan, I don't know who that is. It's not us. W. Kikan. Though W. Kikan has determined. Oh wait, no, that's gonna be an agent. Oh yeah, the Tokumusokans branch in the West Coast, W. Kikan. Ah, okay. My apology. Now I understand it. That's our agency there, isn't it? Tokumusokkan. Okay, but I guess that we had these code names even when we were playing Germany. It took me a bit to realize what they mean. W. Kikan has determined that the Republican Democratic establishment is the lesser of the two evils, especially compared to their main electoral rivals. Far more dangerous is the National Progressive Pact, an unholy union of socialist agitators and their southern allies, united in the purpose of restoring American hegemony over the Pacific Ocean and risking war with the Japanese Empire. While relatively marginal in terms of electoral presence, W. Kikan has determined that the NPP could rise to eminence over the next few years, a strong cause for concern as we would have to ensure our rightful territory in Hawaii and the Eastern Pacific is secure. So, okay, the way I understand it is there are a couple of parties here. The NPP is the one we don't want to see, and Richard Nixon's Republican Democratic coalition, they got 29% now. Okay, no, actually, no, they got more. They got 29 and 27, but 29% of them is conservative and 27 is liberal. Okay, so basically the Republican Democratic Party. And we have the NPP. Okay, so the NPP has paternalism and progressivism. Okay, so that's way more even than I thought. So NPP has 44% and they got 56. So it's a fight between liberal conservatism and paternalistic progressivism. Okay, Richard Nixon here. Okay, so our reactions to the United States is gonna depend heavily on what they're gonna do. And the light in the South, or light of the South. On paper, the sphere seems to be working like clockwork, bringing prosperity to all Asians and their allies in the Pacific, and to bind them all together in a harmonic network guided by Japan. Unlike the tyrannic shadow of the Einheitspact and the hypocrisy of the OFN, the sphere stands for its true purpose, development and growth under Japanese benevolence, at least when they toe the Japanese line. And yet, they can't hold on to it. The Philippines Republic barely can hold back the communists descending from the north. So wait, the second... You're our ally. Yeah, you're our ally. Second Philippine Republic. That's the first Philippine Republic. And then there's the AFRSR in the north, led by Louis Taruk Umangalus. Okay, and yet they can hold onto it. The Philippines Republic barely can hold back the communists descending from the north, and the stranded Americans in the south. So this is a stranded American Free Philippines Republic. How the hell is the Free Philippines Republic? Oh, this one. Oh, okay. So the ASFR is ruling the Free Philippines Republic. No, wait. You are the Free Philippines Republic. You are the ASFR. And you are entrenched between them. Okay, a little bit confusing, but I'll get used to it. There is also the eternal problem of Malaya, the gravest threat of all if the UMAJF manage to reach Shonan-to. Okay, well, Malaya is over here, and they are being attacked. We know about that. Ino's telephone finally rings, and he dutifully attends, turning away from the windows of his office that showed the bustling activity from the streets of Tokyo. We've held the cities, but the jungle's on fire. Taiwan is not helping either. They can barely reach the border without getting harassed by their own guerrillas. Yamamoto's grave, raspy voice came from the receiver, and Ino took a moment to ponder the situation. Malaya has long been a massive menacing. The repeated failures of the 25th Army constantly draining resources, as it was with Yudo's Republic. Coupled with the rebellion on Mongolia, the cracks of the sphere has been endured to exist for too long. It's time the opportunists remember why the rising sun shines brighter on the east, starting with the wayward light of the south. We can now send aid and volunteers. Ah, good. That was actually what I was thinking. If we could start sending volunteers to our allies here. So secure Shonan at all costs. We can send aid and volunteers to the military governorate of Shonan Marai. A new page will be added to the global conflicts. Okay, and what the hell are you supposed to be? It's a 25th? Yeah, because they're not our ally. That's a bit confusing. They're not our ally or puppet, but they obviously are... Oh no, they're part of the co-prosperity sphere. Okay. And they're giving us docking rights. So while they're not marked as our ally, they are actually part of the co-prosperity sphere. So that's interesting. I wasn't aware that this is possible to have them as a non-ally but member of the Economic Pact. Okay, so what do we have in the global conflicts? Wait, no, where is it? Cold War, economy... It should be in the decisions, shouldn't it? I'm a little bit confused, but can we send you the volunteers? Yes, we can. And we can send you 2 divisions. So, do we have any here that we would want to send? Wait, where's my armies? So probably send someone... We have 2 motorized divisions here, which are pretty good. I actually checked that they are... very good defense, breakthrough, but I think this is mostly going to be jungle, won't it? No, it's plains, hills, jungle, and mountain. Okay, so for that, I mean, these ones are, you know, without question, Qian Shinan, that's just a battalion. You guys would be great. You have very high breakthrough and fighting capabilities, but you are awful in mountains, even in the hills, and you just cannot go through the jungle. What about the motorized? How would they fare? Jungle is really bad for them, but plains are okay. Mountains are not that terrible. Do we have you guys? Okay, you would actually be amazing. Teishin Shudan. Do we have you? I know we had a couple of these units, don't we? Yep, we got 2 units of special forces here. Here. You're part of the First Army, aren't you? Yep. So we can separate you into a special expeditionary force, and you are going to be led by General Nishi Takeichi. I actually saved this guy here because he's a war hero, an old guard, and media personality, and I thought that he would be great in taking a role of such fights. So Nishi Takeichi is gonna govern them. Foreign policy tab. Okay, they moved it here? That's interesting. I thought it was under the decisions. So global conflicts, the Malayan Civil War. We're gonna study that in the next episode. At this point, we're gonna take the expeditionary force here. Alright. Okay, let's call this IJA Expeditionary Force. And we're gonna send them in the next episode to help the Shonan Marai Kuiseibu in their fight against the enemies of the UMAJF. Cool, so thank you very much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next episode where we are going to continue the story of Empire of Japan. We're getting the ball rolling slowly. It's gonna be good.